an excellent point. But let me just show you, because you're talking about bone density. Okay, let me show you what I'm talking about when I talk about as dark. So that's Quetzalcoatlus. That's a person. That's really how big it was. Now, how do we know it was this big? Just sitting on the ground? Here it is again, but in skeletal form. So everything that's filled in with like pictures of bones, that's all the stuff that we have discovered of Quetzalcoatlus so far. So everything has been pulled apart and individualized as the bones are kind of floating like up here and over there by the head. But everything that's filled in into the skeleton over here, we found it. It was in the ground. We know that it exists because we see it right there. So bone density doesn't really have anything to do with it, because look how skinny this thing is. Look how small the rib cage is. Like this looks like it would just disintegrate, right? But it didn't. It was in the ground. We found it. So there's one thing. And again, not only did this thing was only about 500 pounds. It was only 500 pounds, and it walked for the most part, and then flew to get to greater distances. So there's that. Now we have Scotty the T-Rex with a little bit more bone density. And this is one of the most complete Tyrannosaurus skeletons of all time. And the skull up there has been casted many, many times. So if you see like a model of a T-Rex skull, it's probably Scotty. But also, that's size comparison for the people. We also have skeletons of fish. We have skeletons of sharks. We have skeletons of stingrays. We have skeletons of dinosaurs smaller than chickens. We have skeletons of pterosaurs smaller than your hand. So bone density doesn't really have anything to do with it, because there are different densities of bone that have fossilized for many, many animals. Now, when it comes to fire, it's kind of the same thing. There have been many fossils of that have been in forest fires, and due to the rock layer around it, you can tell that it was in a forest fire. And speaking of fire, what were those two chemicals? What can a creature make chemicals that can catch things on fire like that? I don't know. I know that there's a bug that has heated glands in its abdomen that create like a almost slime that does that, but that's all I know, and that's an insect. So the anatomy of a dragon still doesn't make any sense. When it comes to fossils, when it comes to dissecting its body parts like that, with its glands, with its bones, with its 6 appendages, it just still doesn't work. And then if you're going to have a dragon be able to fly, the wings have to be massive in order to lift something like that off the ground. So, again, because of all those things, I don't think that there's any way for dragons to exist. There is no breaking down of the bone because of the glands in its throat. That's soft tissue stuff. That wouldn't really affect the bones anyway. So, yeah, I there you go. That's my thoughts.